All right. So the other type of inner class is the anonymous class. Unlike the local class, we don't have a name to it. So you would prefer this, for example, if you want to go with concise code. We'll look at an example of this when you're discussing lambda expressions in the next session. It is like a local class once again. Only thing is it doesn't have a name, and you use it when you intend to use a local class only once. That is, you don't see the need of working with a local class. It's just going to be applied that one time. Then you would prefer to work with an anonymous class. So it is made up of a declaration and instantiation. In the previous session or in a previous session, we talked about how to instantiate objects. So it's both an instantiation and a declaration of a class. And I'll show us what that means in a bit. But before I go to show us the example, I want us to remember it is an expression. So it has to be part of a statement. We'll define these things later. So let me just open this. Inside the anonymous class example from the previous session, we had already interacted with these two objects. This is the added one to represent an anonymous class. So pay attention to this. It looks like a normal object creation, but at the end of it, we have curly braces. And given that it is a statement, we must terminate it with a semicolon, like required in Java. So it's part of the statement. It has a declaration of a class without a name, and it has an instantiation as part of it. So this entire part is the anonymous class, and this is the example. So for instance, if you would wish to return a country code from the get number method that we covered in the previous session, then you can decide to append it like this. Where you within your anonymous class, you override the get number method from the superclass. So if I was to run this, I should see 254 plus the number that we had from as per the previous session. A common place where you'll see this is in JFX when you're interacting with JFX. So let's look at this example. We have our button object here, btn. Then on it, we are calling the setTexts function to say hello world. Then on it, we are also calling the setOnAction method. So the setOnAction method before Java 8 required us to pass in an anonymous class such as this one. So I'll just focus on that because currently I'm in Java 22, but the official documentation is on Java, based on Java 8. So here we go. This is our anonymous class, new event handler, passing in action event. We'll talk about that in generics. Then we have our block of code, the anonymous class. Then we have the termination of the closing parenthesis, Then since it's a statement, we also have this semicolon. So this is one way where you can have anonymous class like this, where the semicolon is coming after the closing curly braces. But in some cases, you might see it where the semicolon is coming after the closing parenthesis, like in this case, because the anonymous class is within the parameters of the method setOnAction. So just so you know, if you see something like this, what should come to mind as at now is this must be an anonymous class, but we'll talk some more about that. Okay, so the syntax of anonymous class is the new keyword, instantiation. Let me just say it like that. Instantiation, as you would a normal instantiation, then the curly braces, and given that it's part of a statement, it's an expression which is part of a statement, it's terminated by a semicolon. That is the syntax, okay? You have the instantiation bit, the curly braces, which represents a class declaration without a name, then the semicolon. Like local classes, they capture variables, as we had seen from the previous session. So they can work with variables or parameters of the enclosing class. That is what this means in case you missed the previous session. And they can only access variables or local variables that are either final or effectively final, which we also covered from the local class session. But they cannot declare constructors. They are anonymous, they don't have a name to them, so they cannot declare constructors. Remember, constructors have the same name as the class. So what name might that be? Okay, so that is it. In the next session, we'll go through a step-by-step build-up from local classes to anonymous classes to Lambda expressions.